likes doing that.
He just likes doing
That's a sign of things.
Good afternoon. The meeting of the Louisiana State University Board of Supervisors will come to order. Mrs. Tomlinson, please call the roll.
Mr. Perry, Mr. Williams,
Present.
Mr. Yarborough, Mr. Anderson, Mr. Armentor,
Here.
Mr. Blossman,
Here.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Chatelain,
Here.
Mr. Dampf,
Here.
Ms. Jones, Mr. Mallett, Mr. Moore, Mr. Starnes,
Present.
Ms. Werner,
Here.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Woods. All right, gotcha. Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Chancellor Oye, will your guests please provide the invocation and pledge of allegiance?
Thank you. The LSU Health Sciences Center is pleased to introduce two of our students, Jeffrey Kirst and Andrew Meir. They'll come up and provide the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
If everyone please bow their heads. We've gathered with the gift of another day on this earth, thankful for the opportunity and the responsibility to better the lives of those around us. We pray that the decisions made by this group will further our Creator's plan for us and that we remain focused on our goals in the best way possible. We pray today for guidance and that you remain with us in our work and in our travels. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jeffrey Kirst is a senior dental student at the Health Sciences Center School of Dentistry. He was elected vice president of the American Student Dental Association in February and is passionate about community service. He's volunteered over the past 2 summers to provide dental care to those in need in the Dominican Republic. He also co-founded a not-for-profit organization called Natural Teeth that aims to keep children smiling by teaching them good oral hygiene. After graduating, Jeffrey plans to practice general dentistry in the Shreveport area. Jeffrey?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me today. I just, on behalf of Dr. Gramion, the LSU School of Dentistry, the things that we're trying to do there right now are definitely big things. We've got some technology that's unrivaled throughout the entire country. I have an honor to be able to visit a lot of different schools and speak with different students from all across the country in my role with the American Student Dental Association. And in that role, I get to represent 22,000 dental students. And by doing so, I get to really make good relationships with students and to realize just the opportunity that we have at LSU, the opportunities that we're given at the dental school, the freedom that we're given to really do things clinically and in an educational setting, it's second to none. I come from Arkansas myself, meaning I'm an out-of-state student, but if I had to go back and do it all over again, I'd do the exact same thing, and I'd pick LSU all over again, and I'd do it again and again and again. I mean, this has definitely become a home to me. As you can see, I'm sticking it out in Shreveport, as the girls convinced me to do. And my plan is definitely to be able to give back to the state of Louisiana and hopefully with the Louisiana State University in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Meir is a senior medical student who's selected to complete his 3rd and 4th years of the medical school at our branch campus here in Baton Rouge. He attended Catholic High in Baton Rouge and received his undergraduate degree from LSU. He's been actively involved in many service endeavors, including the LSU student-run homeless clinic and Camp Tiger. Andrew was recognized for his commitment to service by being elected into the LSU School of Medicine's Gold Humanism Honor Society in 2018. Andrew plans on pursuing a pediatric residency after graduating in May of 2019.
Hi, thank you for having me here today. So I'm just a kid from Baton Rouge. I grew up at Catholic High School, and then I went to LSU for undergrad. Then I spent my first 2 years down at the New Orleans campus for medical school, and then I was given the option to come up here for my 3rd year to Baton Rouge. And my parents are from here, and that seemed like a good enough reason to take a look at it, and I'm really glad I did. When I think about my time at Baton Rouge, I'm really familiar with grades, and so if I had to think about a grade, I would give it an A, and actually I would probably give it 3 A's. And so, in kind of 3 different categories. The first A, kind of like attention. It's a smaller campus. It's only about 20 or 30 students, and just by the nature of being small, you get a lot of attention on the clinical side as well as the administrative side. There's there's a lady, Lauren Wilson, and anytime we have any problems with administration, we go to her and she deals with it. She does a great job. So for the second A, I'd probably go with autonomy. It's more of a supervised autonomy. There's it's a little smaller, and so there's a big patient list, and we can. I think of my surgery rotation that if the list had 20 patients and there was 2 students, and they said, "Well, see the list," and you go and you see the patients in the morning, and then you'd round with the resident and the attending as well. So supervised autonomy, but it gives a chance for the students to think about the patients and make up their own minds and not just being told what to do. And so for the third A, I'd probably go with aspirations, and as that goes kind of twofold. I'm kind of really trying to get at mentorship. The faculty there, I'm really talking about Dr. George Karam, and he's really good at helping us figure out who we are and what we'd like to do with our lives. And so he helped us, me personally, talk about my aspirations, and I could talk about my love with, I was a swim coach before medical school, and I could talk about that forever. But Dr. Karam and Dr. Lorette and all the faculty over there, they do a great job at helping people look inside, look for their potential and help them get there. And those are the 3 A's. And the most important, they help with probably the 4th A would be the art of medicine. And so I just want to say I'm thankful that I chose the Baton Rouge program, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Thank you. I'd also like to introduce one of our faculty members. Dr. Gerald James is an assistant professor at the School of Allied Health Professions in the Department of Communications Disorders at the LSU Health Sciences Center in New Orleans. James is a licensed audiologist who joined our faculty in 2005. He serves as the Director of Clinical Education for the Doctor of Audiology program at the Health Sciences Center. As you can see, Dr. James has also been in the military for 28 years, and he's a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves and executive officer of a medical unit. He runs in Houston. He's dressed this way because he's got to catch a plane. He's being deployed today.
All right, thank you, Dr. Ollier. Thank you all for having me. Again, excuse the uniform as I'll be going to a staff meeting later this evening. I've been at the Health Sciences Center for 13 years, and I'll briefly highlight 3 things that I enjoy the most about being a faculty member. Number 1 is getting a chance to influence our future audiologists on how we treat patients. In the beginning, they're often excited to expose the anatomy and the technical terms that they've learned in class, but we talk to them about when they're in clinic about listening to their patients. We emphasize the communication part. Hold on to all of those technical things that you learned, but you're a better provider when you're able to listen and communicate with your patients. Next is the impact that we have in the community. When we see a patient, before we say, "How can we help you?" we say, "Thank you for coming to our clinic." And I always want to know, how did you find out about us? The majority of the patients, they'll say, yes, maybe you're on our insurance, but most of them feel an attachment to being treated by university personnel. So that's very important to them. It's important to a lot of our patients that they are helping our students gain knowledge. And of course, last but not least, I've been in the Army Reserves for 28 years, and in this job, I've had the support of the department, of the dean, of the school. I'm allowed to be a soldier. I've been doing it for a long time. It's a part of me. There have been times when I've had to be mobilized for a significant amount of time, and you're able to do that job better when you don't have to worry about your family and things are taken care of at home. So I've always felt that kind of support from the school, and glad to continue in both of those roles. Thank you for having me.
very much, Dr. Oye. The next item on our agenda is selection for the position of Chair-elect for the Board of Supervisors for the next academic year. Are there any nominations for the position of Chair-elect for the Board of Supervisors for the next academic year?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Miss Mary Werner.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Are there any other nominees for the position of Chair-elect? Hearing none, at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to appoint Supervisor Mary Werner as the Chair-elect of the LSU Board of Supervisors. Is there a motion?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any objection? Without objection, Mary Werner is the Chair-elect of the LSU Board of Supervisors. Seated. At this time, I call on my dear friend, longtime colleague, Judge Candace Perrette of the Louisiana Third Circuit Court of Appeal, who will be administering the oath of office to our Chair-elect, Mary Werner. I now ask that LSU Law Center law alumna and the Chief Justice of the Louisiana Supreme Court, Burnett Johnson, to please come forward to administer the chairman's oath. Come on, Mary, move on down. We have 3 groups signed up for public comment today relating to the occasion of the oath of office for new board leadership. At this time, I would like to call forward Nicole Moye, who is the president of the AP Turo Senior LSU Alumni Chapter.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the LSU AP Turo Senior Black Alumni Chapter, I would like to congratulate James M. Williams, being unanimously elected by his fellow LSU board members to serve as their chairman, making him the first African-American LSU alumnus to serve as chairman of the board. An education from LSU can afford one a wide range of leadership opportunities after graduation, and that possibility grows as the university continues its commitment to open doors of opportunity for those too often left behind by social, educational, and economic progress. LSU's African-American alumni have become leaders in every field of human endeavor, from highly ranked educators and public servants, prominent lawyers, scientists, researchers, and successful entrepreneurs, to award-winning artists, and every career in between. At a time in which some people are asking the question, what is the value of diversity and inclusion in our top institutions of higher learning? The remarkable accomplishments of LSU Black alumni answer that question. Anyone can be a leader, no matter what their background. But Louisiana State University graduates have a significantly strong platform to exercise leadership across generations. We've been presented with a great opportunity, and it's our responsibility to fulfill it. We must use our tremendous power to make a difference. In today's event, we see the fulfillment of an ongoing promise. From AP Turo Jr., the first Black undergraduate student at Louisiana State University, arriving in 1953, seeing no one who looked like him, to the journey of today's Black LSU graduates who are walking the path with thousands of other Black alumni who not only look like them, but who have contributed to a larger legacy of making Louisiana, America, and the world better places for all. There's an intensity of feeling among LSU Black alumni, an amazing bond, built through significant struggle and victory. Our connection is strong and building every day. Congratulations again to James M. Williams, the first Black LSU alum to serve as chairman of the LSU Board of Supervisors. With his induction, we look to the future to use the incredible talent of Black alumni to rise to the challenge of issues that confront our university, our wider community, and the world. Thank you.
I now call Christopher Hebert to speak on behalf of the Nu Psi chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha alumni.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board members. My name is Christopher Hebert. I serve as Assistant Attorney General for the great state of Louisiana. With me, I have Mr. Anderson Dotson, City Prosecutor, Assistant City Prosecutor, Chief, we're going to argue right here, for the Parish of East Baton Rouge. We're also both proud alums of Louisiana State University. 27 years ago, I ran into this brash young New Orleanian by the name of James McClendon Williams in what was then Power Hall. Within a year, we would become fraternity brothers through Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and develop a friendship which has lasted until this very day. Over the years, we've shared and embellished many stories about our college experiences, much to the chagrin of our wives, children, friends, or anyone who had to endure us telling the same stories over and over and over again. But just a few short years ago, Mr. Williams shared a story with me that I had not heard before. And it was about how, but for a former member of this very board seeing something in him that he may have not seen in himself yet, Mr. Williams may not have matriculated and earned his degree from Louisiana State University. But look at you now. That story is a powerful testament to the impact that each of you, as Board of Supervisors members, has on each and every student on this campus. And I wish you all, as members, well in that endeavor. On behalf of the alumni members of the notorious New Side chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity at LSU, Brother Williams, congrats on your chairmanship, and go Tigers.
This time, I would like to call Paul Gibson and the current members of the New Side chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated.
Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, I'm sorry. How y'all doing today? On behalf of the current New Side chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, seated here at the Louisiana State University, we would like to wish our congratulations to alumni member, Brother James Williams, and we have a small gift for you.
Thank you.
Chairman, don't use that one, because you can break the other.
Yeah, I think I might.
Got a spare now, Chairman.
Yeah, I have a spare, that's right. I won't keep us long, we've already run long, but I do have to say a few words. First, I want to thank Almighty God for this opportunity. He has truly blessed me and my family with this opportunity. There's no way that a kid from New Orleans with a dad that worked 2 jobs and a mom that worked 3 should be sitting where I am, but here I am. And it's a testament to what LSU is, which is the great agent of change in our state. The Glenn Armentors of the world, who came from nothing, and because of LSU, have not only made it, but are giving back or paying it forward, Glenn, as you like to say. You know, folk like my good friend Richard Arsenault, who came here seeking a better life because that's all he could afford, and yet he has blossomed into one of the most brilliant legal minds in our state. This school has the power, if we give it a chance, to change the course of history and lives. I'd like to thank Governor John Bell Edwards for the opportunity to serve on this board and his vision. You know, it's a lot easier to be the chairman of the board with the governor who has not cut us, as you said, who has supported us in every way, and we want to continue to support him in the way that he supported us. And I also want to thank those board members who voted for me to be in this position. Those of you who didn't vote for me, you don't have a choice, you're stuck with it. But I'd like to thank thank everyone, those who are here and who are not here, who showed faith in me for this position. And I do commit to you that I view leadership as ascertaining the will of the group and doing my best to facilitate what everyone wants. It may be a little weird that I was serving in the chair and chair-elect position. Our chairman, Steve Perry, I guess now our immediate past chair, Steve Perry, couldn't be with us today, and I'll reserve my comments and accolades for him, but I would just simply say what a beautiful, brilliant chairman he was. I also have to thank the Chief Justice, who was here, Judge Perrette, who was here, former Senator Murray, who was gone, and my family. My mother is here. She certainly probably didn't think this day was coming when I first was at LSU. But she stuck with me, and we made it. My family, my wife, and children who you saw earlier, I want to thank them for being here. The AP 2-row chapter for Nicole, what you said was fantastic and right on. AP 2-row chapter is significant and growing. And of course, my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, which I pledged and joined right here on this campus. Yeah, Derek, I see you back there. He's a different fraternity. That's why he's shaking his head. But, you know, look, fraternities have a lot of work to do in revising and reforming the culture of fraternities. But I hope today is proof that the fraternity system has positives that need to be preserved, and that we need to strengthen the positives, eradicate the negatives, so that that system can continue to be what it was for me, as you can tell, a support system, a literal support system for me and so many other folk on this campus. Peer pressure for me, when my grades were slipping, fraternity brothers would come in my room and say, "You're dragging the chapter GPA down. You better get it together." It wasn't just drinking and partying. I mean, they made sure we put pressure on each other to succeed, and that was important. Remy and I were talking about what I thought this year would be, would entail. We take over at a time of progress for LSU. We're making progress in terms of funding. We're not going backwards. We're not being cut. We can start to do a few things, Dan. We're making progress in terms of our enrollment, the quality of our enrollment and the diversity of our enrollment. Let me say that again. The quality of our enrollment is improving at the same time that the diversity of our enrollment is improving. And that is proving to all the naysayers that you can both increase your qualifications and increase your diversity at the same time. But as Remy and I talk, when things are going well, that's not the time to take your foot off the accelerator. Mike Yaconelli, who was I don't know if y'all are familiar with him, but he's a very famous youth pastor out of California, died tragically in a car accident, but is pretty much known as the father of modern youth ministry around the country. And he said this: boldness does not mean rude, obnoxious, loud, or disrespectful. Being bold is being firm, sure, confident, fearless, daring, strong, resilient, and not easily intimidated. It means you're willing to go where you've never been, willing to try what you've never tried, and willing to trust what you've never trusted. I'd like us to be bold this year. I think everyone on this board wants us to be bold this year. It's time to go where we've never been. It's time to try things we've never tried. It's time to do things we've never done. And so I look forward to a year of very bold leadership for this board. Don't worry, King, that doesn't mean looking over your shoulder every day.
Every other day.
Every other day, right. No, but what it does mean is that we want to take strong action to move this university forward. We want to all be able to look back at the end of this year and be proud of the things we've accomplished. And only through being bold, only through being fearless, only through having courage will we be able to do that. And so I just want to thank everyone for this great opportunity. It is humbling, but I look forward to the opportunity to serve the students at LSU and the citizens of our state. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the board meeting held on June 29, 2018, previously provided to the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and probably second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Objection, minutes are approved. We now move to the advisor reports to the board. First, we'll have Ken McMillan representing the faculty advisors.
Thank you very much, Chair Williams, and congratulations on achieving that goal. I'm Ken McMillan, faculty member in the School of Animal Sciences and president of the LSU Faculty Senate, and I've also been recently elected to my second term as chair of the Council of Faculty Advisors. I want to welcome the new members of the board. I apologize for being in Australia last month instead of being here to welcome you, but one has to do the scholarly activities that we get paid to do. As chair of the Council of Faculty Advisors, I want to very much reassure you that not only I, as the bold chair of CFA, but also representing the faculty of LSU now over all the campuses, that we take the responsibility that you've delegated to us very seriously. You've delegated development of educational policy to us, and as a result, we do take that extremely, extremely seriously and to heart. There's no need to remind you that LSU exists for academics. We have other auxiliary aspects, like most of you are here for tomorrow, but academics is the core. And so we're appreciative of the raises that you've given us, but I'm not sure you really understand how important those merit raises were. We understand that our raises and our salaries are much below the averages of our peers, unlike those of our athletic coach counterparts, but any raise does lots of things. It improves faculty morale, for one. It gives hope to the new almost 300 professors that we hired this year and last. And more importantly, it helps the organizational structure because we have annual evaluations, and that improves the competitiveness of our faculty, not only among ourselves, but also nationally for grants, contracts, teaching awards. It just improves LSU immensely. So I appreciate the support that the board has given. I sincerely appreciate Dr. Alexander actually putting his neck on the line for us as faculty because we're all working towards the same goal. In that regard, in fulfilling our academic mission, I want to give one example. It's hit the press that some of our campuses may not be adhering to our admissions policies as the Board of Regents expects us to. However, the Faculty Senate has numerous committees that go across the campuses. So we have a courses and curriculum committee. No courses or curricula are offered, whether they're wanted by an administrator or not, until our Faculty Senate committees approve those and they go up through the channels through administration and eventually the Board of Regents. We have an admission standards and honors committee. And unbeknownst to the press and to some of our members of our esteemed Board of Regents, in 2006, our Faculty Senate did approve a resolution where we decided we would go towards having some of these different holistic admission standards in addition to our ACT and other scores. So realistically, the faculty have been involved in educational policy and decisions, and that was not a singular decision on anybody's part in administration at LSU. The LSU faculty is expected for a flagship institution also lead faculty within the state. And so as a result, with our Association of Louisiana Faculty Senates meeting tomorrow in Alexandria, and I want to again commend Dr. Wong for being a host to us. Even though we won't quite be on the center of campus, we'll be on the edge of campus tomorrow in a slightly different venue, but we lead the other faculty senate leaders in the rest of the state. In closing then, I thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, but I encourage you to interact with those campus faculty and staff leaders in addition to the administrators in your district as we all try to move LSU forward and develop as much information as we can to help do that. So with that, I'll close and address any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to welcome Tammy Milliken, representing the staff advisors. Tammy, 8 people had handed me your name to make sure I didn't get it. I'm so glad.
Good afternoon. I want to begin my report for Council of Staff Advisors with a thank you to President Alexander, Provost Haney, Executive Vice President Dan Lazell, and you, the Board of Supervisors members, for your courage and your willingness to fight hard to provide merit increases for the second year in a row for LSU staff and faculty. We appreciate you recognizing how important these raises are with the increased cost of living, past and projected rising insurance premium costs, as well as higher fees for staff who are part-time students pursuing degrees at the university. Tuition exemption is a wonderful benefit for employees at LSU, but these increasing fees, while necessary to continue moving our university forward, can make it difficult for those in the early stages of their career and beginning to raise families to be able to afford to pursue a degree. It is most important for LSU to recruit and retain the very best students and faculty, but it's also imperative to the success of this university to do the same for staff. This merit increase is a step in the right direction, and we believe it will help attract new staff and decrease the growing number of talented staff who are leaving LSU each year. I'm also encouraged by the unprecedented level of collaboration and support that now exists among the governing bodies of student government, faculty senate, and staff senate. Thank you to President Stuart Lockett and President Ken McMillan for their willingness to collaborate and put the goal of making this university better for students, faculty, and staff first. In terms of volunteer efforts, I wanted to let you know that Staff Senate provided volunteers for summer commencement to improve the experience for our graduates and their families. And I'm also happy to be working on a committee with Ken Stewart, the President's office, and the Registrar's office to make this experience an even more special celebration, not only for our graduates, but for our faculty and staff too. Commencement is a day of victory for all of those who work so hard to get freshmen from move-in day to graduation day. And speaking of move-in day, I can tell you from personal experience that our volunteers were just amazed at the level of appreciation from students and their parents, grandparents, and the other 20 or so family members that they brought in separate cars to help move their students in. They told us over and over how blown away they were by the level of hospitality they encountered when they arrived on campus that Sunday morning. We also have been selling LSU Staff Pride t-shirts this summer. Brought one with me. It says LSU Staff on the front, and the back says, "I make a difference." That's important for LSU staff to hear. Our provost, many staff members, and several entire departments on campus purchased these shirts, and I'm happy to report that we sold 375 of them, and were able to take that $3,000 profit and put it into the Staff Senate Fee Scholarship, which awards staff members scholarships to help defray some of the costs of fees to attend school. And with this success, we're planning a second sale with more shirt options. And finally, a big thank you to the LSU payroll staff who are celebrating National Payroll Week this week. I was able to stop by yesterday to thank them for making sure that everybody gets paid, because that's a pretty important responsibility. And to also remind them that they definitely make a difference on this campus. And I can assure you that LSU staff is willing to march side by side in boldness with you, Mr. Williams, to do whatever we need to do to raise this university to an even higher level. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you for joining us, Tammy. Tammy and Rachel joined us on the basketball court with pickup with the president, along with Stuart Locken, and I think Ken jumped to Australia so he wouldn't have to play in that game.
He did.
But Stuart
Took home the trophy.
Yeah, they beat us 22-19.
Yeah.
But there's always next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my first basketball game ever. And so my goal was just not to humiliate the name of Staff Senate. And so I feel like I stayed on number 11 pretty well through the entire game. But in the video that they made, you know, President Alexander's shooting threes and just sinking them. And Stewart is, you know, slamming them in. And me, I go left, go right. And this Jacob goes left and just leaves me standing there. That's what they put in the video. So next year, I'm going to improve.
Board, I just want to say that Tammy and Ken, I get to work with them on a personal basis daily, day to day, and they have been doing a great job. Thank you all so much.
This time we'll have the president's report. King?
Members of the board, chair, ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to welcome on the main campus, the largest faculty cohort we've had in 6 years, 157 new faculty, and I know we've been able to hire other faculty throughout our campuses because we did have a stable budget, thanks to the work of the governor and a number of other legislative leaders that allowed us to get on offense, the way I see it now. Those of you that know that we are behind, then this board is responsible for the big charity project. And the LSU Real Estate and Facilities Foundation received proposals from 2 development teams on August 20th in response to the request for proposals and for the adaptive reuse of the former Charity Hospital building. I think people in New Orleans know how important this project is, and most people say it would never get done. Well, at our October 4th meeting, we will consider the proposals that will be presented about exactly how we're going to be reusing the Charity Hospital facility, as well as the courthouse may be moving in. We have a lot of projects that Larry certainly has been overseeing, but our Real Estate Foundation, this is a major, major project that most people do not think it would ever happen. And I'd like to appreciate the work that everybody's doing on that and the continued work. I'd like to thank everybody for their work on the Ochsner Partnership earlier today. That was a year-long, that was a lot of work for a lot of people. Liz Summerall and Golly and your team, Tom and the lawyers on both sides, and the Ochsner leadership made something come to fruition, which has been a very difficult situation for us for the past 5 years. On October 29th and 30th, we are having a President's Symposium, Behind the Ballot, which is examining the influences and trends driving modern elections. And it's about the elections that will be coming up, and we have a student movement to get as many students registered as possible. By October 9th is the last day, and we'll be working with our student government leadership and many of our student leaders to get as many students voting as possible. In fact, in the mock election that they did, 2 of our interns were the 2 students that broke into the North Carolina elections and changed the ballot and wrote in a candidate. And it was a trial that I'm not sure which one of the Washington, D.C. Organizations put it on, but 2 of our students were able to distort the North Carolina elections, and I can say this issue is going to be as hot and heavy on October 29th and 30th. Our provost search is underway. Mark Batzer, Boyd Professor, is chairing the committee. We are implementing, as you've heard, about 20% of our entrances at football will have metal detectors, and they will be rotating. This is a precursor to what will be happening next year, where the entire SEC, we have led an initiative to have the entire SEC adopt metal detectors at most risk, depending on the sporting events, up to those institutions. But we are just keeping up with what's going on with the world around us with regard to that. Capital Area Promise, thank you to our board members that came to the Capital Area Promise, was signed yesterday with BRCC and the number of our superintendents from the East Baton Rouge Parish and area. This promise is a guarantee that we're going to work to make sure every child in this area, every child has an opportunity and starts looking to college as early as elementary school, through middle school, through college, and it's copied off the Long Beach College Promise. And we believe it'll make a big difference in the lives of particularly those 6th to 8th graders, those ones that come and spend an entire day on our campus to talk about going to college and setting expectations high. And a number of rankings have come out, I'm pleased to say, with working with the Wall Street Journal and the International Higher Ed Times ranking. LSU went up 89 spaces from where they were last year and jumped from 12th in the SEC to 7th for the main campus. I usually don't pay this much attention because it favors a lot of little tiny schools that I've never heard of. But we're doing quite well. But more importantly, the Washington Monthly, which does a much more thorough analysis, actually placed LSU as it showed that overall in net price, LSU is the 4th lowest in the SEC. And as I mentioned earlier, ranked number 1 in earnings performance ranking of any SEC institution, top 10 in land-grant institutions, top 8 in flagship, number 8 in flagship institutions in earnings performance rank, and 39 among all publics. This is something our parents need to know more of and want more information. They want to know what it's going to cost and what's going to happen at the end of the day. And that's why the Washington Monthly is important, the college scorecard's important, and that's why these data are going to be more important as we go and move on. And finally, on an enrollment update, LSUE has substantial enrollment increases. With the freshman class, we know LSUS is increasing. We'll get those numbers, but we just got our official numbers on the main campus, and we are at 5,803 freshmen coming in. This is the largest freshman class in the history of LSU. It's the most diverse class in the history of LSU. It's the largest in-state Louisiana class in the history of LSU. 78% are from Louisiana, and many of our peers are only enrolling about 30% of their in-state kids. Largest out-of-state enrollment for LSU. Highest achieving entering class, tied with last year's class. 25.5 average ACT, which ties for the highest with last year. GPA tied for the highest at over a 3.5 GPA average, which is tied for the highest as well. This is the most diverse and most successful and high-achieving freshman class we've ever had. And I'd like to thank the work of Jose Aviles and his team and so many others that have brought these students in. Largest first-generation entering class in the history of LSU. That means we got a lot of work to do to help these students succeed and get through with a degree that will take them to the top of the SEC as that earnings performance rate shows. So we appreciate the work everybody's done and our chancellors have done. And when we put our total enrollment numbers, I wouldn't be surprised to see that we are at an all-time high throughout LSU. So I thank everybody for the hard work that they've done in this area, and we look forward to making sure that each and every one of these students is going to succeed and graduate and go on to be part of those earnings performance rankings that I just mentioned to you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That completes my report.
Thank you. The next items on the agenda are reports to the board. There are 7 reports, to which 5 require board approval. 2 reports are merely for information. Those reports were previously provided to each of you for your review and consideration. Are there any questions about any of the reports that have been provided?
No question, but I would compliment the work of the HR department on the 403B. That sounds like a great improvement to that plan, and so lowering the cost and kind of streamlining the options for employees. So, nice move.
Fantastic. Anyone else? At this time, I'd entertain a motion to accept these reports. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to accept the reports are adopted. Next item on the agenda are committee reports. In the interest of time, I will entertain one motion to approve all committee actions that were approved earlier today.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. The motion is adopted. The next item on the agenda is the chairman's report. Y'all already heard from me, so I won't say a lot again. I'll take this opportunity to say something I noticed. So the gavel that they gave to me says, wherever law ends, tyranny begins. Some of you may know, when pledging our fraternity, you get a nickname, and my nickname in college was Tyranny. And so, yeah. So when they put this on here, I looked and I said, "Oh no!" But don't worry, that was a long time ago. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. We have something from Mr. Starnes.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you for recognizing me. I'd like to, first of all, say I want to commend the staff and President Alexander for this outstanding entering freshman class. I want to say that I support completely the concept of holistic admissions, and I don't see in any way that's a lowering of standards, and I think the numbers bear that out. Philosophically, I just don't see how looking at some number and putting it up against some other number and saying that means this student is better than another student would make a better LSU Tiger. I don't believe it at all, especially since I don't believe those are apples to apples comparisons, and those numbers can be manipulated. When I say manipulated, what I mean is the best way to score well on a test is to prepare. And we all know that, and we encourage that, and we prepare in different ways. But oftentimes for these, what they call high-stakes tests, preparation involves the hiring of tutors, the taking of preparation courses, the using of preparation guides, all wonderful things. But when you prepare that way, those types of preparations are outside the reach of children, students who are under-resourced. So what I believe is, when you just look at some number, that it does not, it purports to take a snapshot of a moment in time, but it doesn't tell you what it thinks it tells you. What it says is that maybe I had better resources, better opportunity to do well on a 2 or 3 or 4 hour test on a Saturday morning.
All right.
It doesn't tell you the whole story. And I think that when we look for great LSU Tigers, we want the whole story. And it often involves taking a deeper dive. I believe holistic admissions takes that deeper dive. And I appreciate President Alexander's efforts. And I know that recently he's had to defend that. And I want to say I support President 100%. I support LSU 100%. And I think that we should all make a stronger showing of how important we think holistic admissions are, and I think it makes for better LSU Tigers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Could I add something to that?
Yes.
I would love to see the media pick up on Ken's explanation as to how we reach this point and all the steps that he went through and who looked at it. It was not a one-person decision, and I think you made a great presentation about how it worked through the system, and I would hope that the media would pick up on that explanation.
Absolutely. And I do look forward to the board at the appropriate time in the very near future putting out a statement about this issue. Pursuant to our rules and regulations, pursuant to our bylaws, I am hereby providing notice that at the next board meeting, I will be offering changes to our bylaws. So any changes to the bylaws are required to be announced at the meeting prior. And so by the end of today, I will provide each of you with a copy of the proposed changes to be voted upon at the next meeting. Mr. Drade, have I forgotten anything else? This time I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Any second? All right, everyone have a good weekend. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.